Hey, this is Elliott, just doing a quick little intro with some updated dates, but this is going to be emphasis on quick and little because you can just go check out our websites or social media to find those in the future. Also, follow the podcast and all that. And a special shout out to everyone who came out and showed love at the live episode at Wet City Comedy Festival in Seattle these last couple weeks. It was a couple weeks ago. It hasn't been going on for a couple weeks, but yeah, shout out. Also, if you're still there, if you have been there for a couple weeks, big shout out to you. That's dedication. But yeah, go check us out. Enjoy the podcast. Have fun. Thank you. Bye.
You won't trick me. You won't do it.
Oh, I know what you're trying to do. You're not gonna get me.
And how do you feel about how do you feel about white people saying wigger?
I don't like it.
I think it's really a
I
cop
don't
out.
like it.
I think it's because I know it doesn't mean the same thing, but it has the same do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't mean the same thing, but
It'd be funny if it did though.
yeah. Well, there's
I didn't call you the N word. I called you the W word. Yeah.
You mother. That's our N word.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
Yeah.
There is an argument on Twitter of American black people
Mm-hmm.
versus South African people of color,
Mm-hmm.
because in apartheid they had black and colored,
Mm-hmm.
and colored were the mixed people or the light skinned people. And so American black people are trying to say, no, you're black. And black people from South Africa are like, don't say that, because they're not. And they're legitimately like a separate class. So they're like,
They want to be called colored then? What do you mean? Like, what are
no,
they
that's
arguing?
what they're called. They're called colored, but then there's specifically one guy on Twitter who's like, he's a black dude. He's like, I'm not going to say that because that's offensive to my people, but I'm just going to.
So it's just one guy.
And so it's a few, it's like been an ongoing thing, but
I don't
it is really
listen to
interesting.
one person at a time. It has to be collective outrage, you know?
It's interesting though, because it's like.
Well, this is like when Bosnian people say they're not white, because we are white, to be
Yes.
clear. But like when you say white in America, especially with Muslim people, like especially like white Bosnians who are Muslim,
Yeah.
like they hate being called white because they don't identify with like white American,
Oh, I see.
you know?
Yeah.
Which is so funny to me because it's like we're talking about race, we're not talking about ethnicity, and people like conflate that with
Yeah.
like religion. Like brown people do it all the time, right?
It's the
Because
worst.
we group them, especially like brown Muslims, right? And so yeah, that, and I always was so annoyed with that growing up. I was like, bitch, look at us, we are white, we are whiter than white. Like my mom, the first time she ever saw a black person was at the airport when she was coming to America. Like, you know. It was Bill Cosby.
And it was Eddie.
I think I told you
That's
this.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say it was Eddie Murphy because of Coming to America.
Yeah.
But even better.
Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
we want to be different so bad because we don't fit in with like what we're told we are.
We're not like other girls.
We're not other white girls.
Bosnians, we're not like other whites.
Yeah. And then
we're
when people
Muslim.
are like, I'm spicy white, I'm like, we
What's the
use
spice? Black pepper?
vegetable bouillon. We don't even use black pepper. It's vegetable bouillon. I'm like, we could not be blander. And we're like sitting here on our high horse. It's like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. But I also understand it because we don't really fit. Like, I think when people say white in America, they mean white trash.
What? In what context?
Like, I think they're like, oh, you're just like an uneducated white person is what I think a lot of.
Oh, yeah, that means
That
white
context.
trash.
Yeah.
If someone says that.
No, like being
Yeah.
like white is a little bit, I don't want to say derogatory because that's not what I mean, but it's like people use it as like, oh, white people. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, I like, this is like an example of like when people are talking about Islam and they're like, oh, like they only think that people who practice Islam are brown,
Yes.
you know, but it's like there's plenty of white Muslims out there. And they just get excluded from that narrative and talked down to as like, oh, I knew as soon as the whites started saying like wallahi, and it's like there's white, you know, Muslims out there.
Ugh, they've gentrified, inshallah.
You know, yeah, like that, you
Yeah.
know. So, wow, what are we talking about today? We
Welcome
came
to
in
the
hot.
episode. White power
Yes.
is what Arijana is trying to get to. She's
I always
saying,
say brah, brah,
yeah.
KKK.
And that brings up our
boy.
Yeah.
How did you find out? Like, what's the real story of how you found out? Was it through one of those ancestry websites?
No, it just came up in conversation with
Now
my
that's
mom
real.
and like my other family.
Yeah.
And then they were like, yeah. And I was like, wait, what? And my
Mhm.
mom was like, oh, you didn't know that? That's what I was like. I'm like,
So your mom's kind of like a maverick, a revolutionary, having a little black baby.
well, it's weird. Because I was like, why did he never hold me? You know? But
Yeah.
there
Like,
it
oh
goes.
my God.
No, but it's weird because like
Mhm.
my grandparents, I've never heard them say a
Mhm.
racist thing.
Mhm.
I've never like, not to say they don't talk about race, but they do. But it's
Mhm.
like, if I'm trying to find something racial that they've said, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
really have to.
Oh, so it was
search.
their parent, one of their parents,
was-
or further back?
It was one of their parents. Yeah.
Interesting. But
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
though? I feel like that does happen. Like I feel like my parents are pretty liberal, but they're still immigrants, you know what I mean? And even with them, I'm like my dad and I get into arguments about like trans rights sometimes cuz he just simply doesn't understand it.
Mm.
And we are besties, you know that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like I'll try to like explain to him, and he's like he'll like listen and stuff, but his brain just doesn't compute. And I'm not excusing like the racism for like saying that it's people not computing, but I just mean that like something can change in one generation.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even think about it, even within our
Mhm.
generation.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've changed my mind from when I was a kid.
Yeah. Now you hate
Two,
trans people.
I think I was more, yeah. No. Um,
Very
um,
open minded. You really did get more conservative as you aged, but it was way quicker.
Yeah,
than
yeah.
everything.
No, I think I was way more conservative as a kid.
Really?
Oh yeah. I remember vividly sitting in history class, and you have to take the test to figure out where you fall on the politics spectrum. And I remember they were talking about reparations for women, like if women should get a different kind of pay, or like, but it was very vaguely sentenced.
Okay.
And I was like, well, what does that mean? What would that look like? How do we make sure it's fair? Like where does and I just remember being like, it's too complicated. We shouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Leave it up to women to make a complicated rule.
You know, like certain things like that, or like, you know, I was pretty like
it's too complicated.
I wasn't religious, but I was like, I had like religious values, I would say.
Okay.
Like I didn't like practice, but I believed in a lot of like I was a late bloomer. I was a goody two shoes. I really cared about school, you know, and so I was just like kind of friends with a lot of Christians.
You're Christ adjacent.
You know, a lot of Mormon friends growing up.
Really?
Oh yeah, Mormon church right by my high school.
I didn't know any Mormons growing up.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of Mormons. That's basically
I'd seen
it.
a lot of Mennonites though.
Where? In
Wisconsin.
Madison? Okay.
Yeah. When me and my
Mhm.
mom would drive to Minneapolis, we would always stop in Toma, which is like
Okay.
halfway in between.
Yeah.
And you just see a lot of Mennonites stopping.
What is the difference between a Mennonite and the other one?
They can Amish
And an autistic. Okay.
and a woman.
And a woman.
It's the difference between a Mennonite and a woman with equal pay.
Yeah.
Too complicated.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. Amish and Mennonite. What is that? I knew it started with an A.
Amish Mennonites can use
Gas.
everyday stuff. Yeah, they have like minivans and shit.
Huh.
And so, but they wear like bonnets and dresses and all that. So it's easy to think that they're Amish, but they got radio.
Is that
you know?
really the difference? Do they not have any biblical difference?
No, there's definitely a difference there.
Okay.
That's I never got
That
into
you
it
don't
though.
know. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you know this, Elliott? You know?
I just know, hey,
Yeah.
if they're getting out of a minivan,
Mhm.
if they're getting out of a Chrysler,
Mhm. Do you think there are any
Mennonites.
Amish comedians?
probably
I want to know.
like within the Amish world.
They're like, what's the deal with electricity?
What's the deal?
Yeah. But they make those fireplaces. Has anyone decoded this?
What do you mean decoded it?
Like, why? How can they make those electric fireplaces if they don't have electricity? Think about it. You mail in the coupon. They still make you mail in the coupon, and then they're like, here's a corded fireplace delivered right to your door. Or maybe they make the framework and then someone else adds the electricity in. It's crazy to think about, you know?
Now I'm just mad.
Yeah, I know. It's things like that. I was thinking about the post office the other day. I was like, how do they know where the mail is going? The mail sorting system? I mean, obsessed. I was deep in a wormhole the other night.
About the post office?
Yeah, I love the post office. I think I love
That sounded like it
post
came from a
people.
spot of distrust
Why?
where you're like, how do they know where their mail is
No,
going?
I'm just fascinated by it.
Oh, okay.
I'm just fascinated by it. I never got to go on the field trip where they take you to the post office.
Oh, I never got
They
to do
skipped
that.
my year. Yeah. But they took us to Chinatown and I had fortune cookies. So
Wow.
there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
I think if it wasn't slightly racist, I would have fortune cookies as merch. Because how funny would that be?
That would
You
be
could
pretty
put
cool.
like really shitty, fortunes in the cookies.
I don't know if that's racist.
I don't know that it's great. Like I think
Call them
I
freedom
think
cookies.
I'll tell Bernice Yee to do it. I'll call her up. I'll say have a merch.
Hey, you know
idea
what
for
you should do?
Yeah.
You should do this idea.
Yeah. And she's gonna be like, yeah.
She's gonna be like, now that's
Mhm.
racist.
Yeah.
You know what you should do for
Now
your
that's
merch?
racist. Yeah.
Fortune
Let me find the
cookies.
only Chinese comedian I know.
Hey,
and
you
tell
do
her-
you do chopsticks?
Yeah.
You ever do those?
Yeah.
Chopsticks merch. They say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm eating here."
Yeah. Hey, now we're cooking.
They have like
Now we're eating.
they have the little speaker in there, so their voice when you move, it's activated.
Oh,
So every time you move, it goes, "Hey, I'm eating here."
That's my personal nightmare.
Yeah.
I'd stop eating.
Yeah.
That's a good diet. Don't do Weight Watchers. Just put speakers and chopsticks.
Just make your utensils annoying as
Yeah.
shit.
How's life
People
been?
like to buy dumb shit.
Oh, I do.
I had an
You're
epiphany.
talking to her.
No, I had an epiphany last night. I rethought my whole merch strategy.
Okay, what are you gonna
coming
do?
off of working with Jeffrey Asmus and
Okay.
seeing how much people in 2023 will buy
Uh-huh.
a shirt that says "My neck, my back, stop the war in Iraq."
Yeah.
They buy
That's
'em.
his brand, though.
But he's had those shirts for at least 6
Yeah.
or 7 years.
Yeah.
And then he has them still now because he found a box of them in his parents' basement and was
God.
like,
Is
I thought
that
I
the
got rid of
only
them.
thing he sells for merch?
No, and then he sells a koozie that says "You're
Yeah.
an idiot."
So this is actually I think a really smart merch strategy. I was talking about this with someone the other day. Comics, listen up. This episode's for you,
Write
baby.
it down.
I think you should have, if you're a headliner, you should have obviously like a bigger ticket item, like a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or something like that. And then you need something that is either like donation based or really cheap to make.
Yes.
And then people will kind of like, even if they don't want the more expensive thing, they'll still like give a little bit. And then even if they don't want the shittier kind of product that you made, they'll sometimes still just give you cash if it's like donation based. You know what I mean?
On my little sign, I have a thing that says
Yeah.
"Pay me," which I just meant for if you're
Right.
buying something, and people will just like
Yeah,
send me
because that
money.
was a mistake I made early on where I was like, oh, I would put like a minimum price
Yeah.
and then people would only give the minimum price. And then someone was like, oh, you should just do all of it donation based.
Yeah.
And like when I went both to Minneapolis and Houston, people would give me like $20 for a pin. And I was like, hell yeah, let's
Yeah.
fucking
What
go.
the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, I'm just like, what the hell was I doing? Putting them for
Yeah.
$5, like making no money on them, you know?
You have pins?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you get pins?
I got them on allaboutpins.com, I think.
That
I
sounded-
literally think it's called allaboutpins.com.
It sounded like you'd be like, I don't know. They just showed up.
They
I
showed
don't
up
want
on my
them.
door. Yeah, hey, look, they're the same as the ghost stickers.
Oh, that's cool.
Which, like, honestly, I think my merch is very cute. I really love the artist that did them for
Yeah.
me. Blackview the Art, if you want to find her on Etsy. But someone recently was like, oh, is that because of the Taylor Swift thing? And I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, she like is like has like ghosts in one of her music videos from her recent album. And I was like, I had this forever.
Taylor Swift invented ghosts.
But now I'm like, I could just sell those in a shop. You know, like people would just, they don't care that that's me. Like people would just buy
Yeah.
that because it's cute. Like I collect pins, you know,
That's
why
what
I
I've
wanna
been trying to
make
do with my
pins.
shit is
Yeah.
make it where some of it is tied to a joke,
Sure.
but then also like it's just kind of standalone.
Just have dope merch.
Because
you
that's the
know?
thing. If people actually
Yeah.
want to wear it, one, people want to
Yeah.
support you if they like you. So that's why
Yeah.
they will just give you $20. Or they
And
just,
people love ironic t-shirts, as you said.
which is why I'm like, here, I have a shirt that I did a little design on.
So what are you going to do?
I'm going to take, see, this is where the genius came in.
Okay.
Because I have those stickers. People
Mhm.
always ask, they go, oh, I'll take the
Mhm.
please don't sue me sticker. Or like a
Mhm.
specific sticker. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, they're all in a pack. And then they're like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, I guess I'll take the pack. So hearing that
Mm-hmm.
feedback, I'm like, all right, I should put that sticker on a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
the please don't sue me on a shirt because people like to fucking buy
Mhm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then sell that, and then when I come up with new shit, just run it as stickers first to
And
see
see what
to see
people
what
like.
people like.
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
that's lower cost.
Mhm.
It's easier. And then I was also toying with moving on to shirts because I started screen printing because I'm like, I don't want to pay $200 for shirts and
Mhm.
$300 for someone to just print one color.
What do you mean you started? Like you're doing it yourself?
Mhm.
Where?
In the house, in the office. I took my computer out of there and I put it in there.
Did you buy a screen printing machine?
Yeah, the press. The press fucking sucks. I have to get a new one. You want to see a picture?
I haven't seen you in so long. You're now a screen printer.
Yeah,
That's
I'm fucking doing it
hilarious.
all. These are
You're
my screen
doing it
printing
all.
pants. They're all
I can tell
dirty.
there's paint on them.
Yeah,
Thanks for bringing that into my home.
they're fine. I'm not getting paint on my butt.
mm,
It's all front.
That's the only place
It's all
I
front
like
over
it.
here.
Front butt. I like it on my front butt.
No, it's actually really nice.
Mhm.
I really enjoy it. I
Mhm.
didn't realize how much I missed doing like a physical hobby.
That's artsy.
That's artsy.
Well, first you start screen printing, then you're going to start printing books and papers and get a printing press.
I'm gonna turn into
a
Gutenberg over
newspaper.
here.
Yeah.
That's what the GB
Free the
stands for.
press,
Elliott
yeah.
Gutenberg.
Yeah, there you go.
One side of my family was with the
Yeah.
KKK. The other side invented the printing press.
I honestly think you should just make up a last name.
They
at this
invented
point.
printed word.
Yeah.
I'm making up credits. Have you gotten to that point?
Mm-mm.
I'm like, I just don't give a fuck.
What are
I
you
say I'm
making
on
up, though?
Tubi, Freeform.
You can't say those. You can make up funny credits. You can make up funny credits. Also, because like
Freeform.
no one cares if you were on Tubi or Freeform.
Yeah, but people list them all the time. You saw this comic on True TV.
yeah, sure.
How do you even watch that?
I've seen True TV.
Yeah.
When I had cable. Scary place.
Scary place.
Scary
That's
place.
True TV.
No, it really is. It's like Oxygen Network meets
Oh
TMZ.
my god, my stepmom used to watch the shit
Yeah.
out of the Oxygen. Felicity. She would watch so much Felicity.
Yeah.
Then I remember she was watching some movie on there, and it was from like the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and some like kid, it was someone's kid who was in high school was like really into computers or something, but then they went on his computer.
Child porn.
No, it was like a sex game where you like a sex
This is a movie?
This is a movie. It's like a BDSM computer game, but it's like old school computer. So
Okay.
it's like the 8-bit graphics of like a woman chained up, and it's like, do you want to whip her? And then you have to like go down to like yes, no, like blah blah blah. And they're like, this is sick. This is perverted. But it looks like an old game. So every time they're moving, it's like ding, ding, ding,
Sometimes
ding.
I hear about stuff like that and I'm like, oh, if you ever feel embarrassed by a script you've written, fucking just write it. Because the shit that gets made sometimes.
Just the word. It's because those are the people. I
Yeah.
saw someone, I think, post. They were
Yeah.
like, if you wonder why all these shitty movies get made, it's because those are the people finishing scripts and like being in everyone's face about it. That's the thing. Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's a big goal of mine next year is I want to have a pilot or a feature, at least some sketches, a few more sketches written and stuff.
Are you going to take you've taken writing classes, script writing?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was really great. I did it with Script Anatomy. Highly recommend them. Not
a sponsor.
It was just really depressing because it was like, a lot of the time you have to shift the way you look at creation and the process, because a lot of the time when I'm making something, it's for the end goal of putting it out and stuff.
Yeah.
And this was like a class about writing a pilot so that you could pitch it somewhere. And basically the moral of the story was like, it's never going to get made. And it was like, oh, but I love my idea.
That's it. I have always wondered about that. Because people are
Yeah.
like, you have to have a pilot. And it's like, well, I don't have an idea for a series. So how am I going to write a good pilot?
So people want you to have like a spec script, which is like based off of a show
yeah.
that exists. And then they want you to have an original. And I really like my original idea. And it's never been done. And I feel like it's unique. But then it changed so much to like fit the formula of like what they would look for if they were staffing in a writer's room.
Yeah.
That I I just didn't like the idea anymore.
It is weird.
And it was basically like the only way things get made anymore if you aren't like connected in Hollywood is like you have to make the own miniseries yourself. It's like that's how Insecure happened, Workaholics, all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's fine and dandy, but like that means I have to assemble a whole crew, put out this show about studying abroad. Who has the budget, first of all? And it was like, yeah, that show will probably never get made because like no network wants to fund that or take a chance on someone,
So
you
then
know.
do it yourself.
But that's the thing is like I can't afford to do that myself. Like that's why you work with a network.
You can't afford to do it
you know
that exact way, but you could still make a version of it.
Sure, but it's going to be a completely different thing. You know, it was like because we went through the process of like this is what I don't care that much about your screen
Now I'm
printing
like
press.
kind of pissed off that it's this far. It's not this far down.
Jeez, you're still
So now I'm pissed.
for the
It's
picture.
the principle of it. But yeah, why don't you just do? Because I was thinking about this after some recent experiences. I'm just like, how do I want to move in this industry?
Mhm.
And then just kind of realizing how we're kind of like raised as comics to like believe that
Mhm.
that's the only route, you know,
What's the only route?
is to have a network do it or someone else validate it and be
Mhm.
like, yes, this can be done.
I don't.
Otherwise, no, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's, but I'm saying otherwise it's like, well, I have to make this team and like all this stuff you just said.
Mhm.
When in reality, it's like Insecure.
Mhm.
Like People Just Do Nothing, that fucking British show that I like. They just made a pilot themselves,
Yeah.
and then they made a few episodes and web series, and then that's what gets picked up. But
Yeah.
my whole thing is, I'm like, I don't want to wait for someone to give me permission to act on my idea.
No,
you know?
that's not what I'm saying.
No, I know,
I think
I know.
it's good. I just think that for me, stand up is such a low like barrier of entry, right?
Yeah.
Like you can go write the joke, you can perform it that
Yeah,
night.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And recording a special isn't that expensive if you
Yeah.
wanted to put something out on your own. A series to me that's like multicast or ensemble or something, you got to have everybody be invested in that project, you know,
Yeah.
and have some skin in the game. And like there are some things like Insecure is so cheap. Like if you look at the original stuff on YouTube, it's
Yeah.
like basically her with the camera. Like that's
Yeah.
very accessible to make. But I specifically with my idea was like,
Eiffel Tower in the background.
yeah, I was like, what the? I'm not getting a fucking green
We
screen.
are at the top of
Do
Leaning
you know
Tower
what I
of
mean?
Pisa. Yeah.
Like, and then it does cost money, even
Yeah.
if you do it super cheap. Like, you have to be able to afford camera equipment and do X, Y, Z. And like, honestly, that's why stand up was so intriguing to me when I first started and
Mhm.
was so like attractive as an art form because I was like, oh, I literally can just like make the art, do the art that night. You
All
know,
you have to buy is a notebook and a zip-up hoodie
you know,
and a backpack.
and I'm there, baby.
And
you
you're
know,
in.
a little bit of cocaine if you're if you're a big spender. You know, it's like that. How much is cocaine? How much is it really? How are people affording this lifestyle?
How are people? You don't even know how much it is.
$20 a sniff? What is it?
Okay, wait, hold on. All right, we're gonna do this. First off, how do you think it's measured?
Okay, I'm gonna
What
say
do you think the units are for cocaine?
grams.
Okay,
Is that off?
that's correct.
Okay, but I don't know how much a gram is. Like when people say they got an eighth of weed, I don't know what that means.
That's 3.5 grams.
I hate that you knew
Also
that so
known as an
fast.
8-ball. That's an 8-ball
Is 3.5 grams?
because it's an eighth.
See, this is why, like,
And then there's also a teener, which is it's like the 1.7 grams, which is in between an 8-ball.
stop hitting this.
I'm all coked up. I had
Wait,
eight
okay,
balls.
so how much is 1 gram? So that's 3 8-balls?
In my
Wait,
day,
no. 1 gram is 8 balls. 1/8 is an 8-ball?
1 gram is 8
Wait,
balls.
what's an 8-ball again?
An 8-ball is really just a key bump. An 8-ball is 3.5 grams.
3.5 grams.
Yeah.
So I have to at least buy 3.5 grams, right?
No.
If I'm buying, I could just buy 1
You can
gram.
buy 1 gram.
How much is 1 gram of cocaine?
In my day, where I was at, we were between around 60 to 80.
$60
60 was
for not even a full bump?
60. That's
That's a
a
full
gram
bump.
a gram is more than a
Oh,
bump.
that's a full bump.
Measure out a gram of flour and see how much it is.
I truly
It's
couldn't tell you
it's
how
a
much
good
that
amount.
would look like.
It's a good amount.
I truly couldn't tell you. It's funny. I get, I have never done it. I never will. I'm not interested.
I'll never say never.
No, I can truly say never. I know myself. Because I've been around people who do cocaine quite a bit recently, and they're truly the most annoying people on the planet. Like, truly, like, I think if you're 40 and doing cocaine, kill yourself. Like, and I mean
Hot
that with
take.
my full chest.
Wow.
Because it's really like just the most boring people you've ever met, who are like, and it makes you have this weird ego thing that I don't like.
Well, apparently it gives you euphoria, which I never got, and I didn't know until
I don't get
the
it.
very end, and that's where I felt cheated. But I think that has something to do with antidepressants. But that's a thing where I was like, I couldn't understand how people got addicted to it, because I was like, just drink coffee. It just gives you more energy. But then when someone was like, oh, you get euphoric, like, that makes sense. So that's probably
but
why
you
those
have to keep
boring
doing
people,
it like every 20 minutes, right?
I mean, if
Like,
you
it
want
wears
to.
off after like 20 minutes, right?
Sort of, yeah. But I would always just do it so I could drink more. And then
Why does that help you drink more?
because you get more energy. It's terrible for your body. The combination of those two in your body is like really, it
I don't
produces a
know.
chemical that's very bad for you.
I'm like, I don't even, like, the thought of it getting drunk, it fills me with dread. Like, I'm so deeply uninterested, and I'm so glad that I never went through that phase, because now that I'm like working really late nights and stuff, and everyone around me is just like drunk all the time, it just like, it does not look fun at all to me. And I
Yeah.
know I'm a little bit, I don't want to sound like I can hang, but I'll do it sober, But some of those people truly cannot hang unless they are plastered.
Yeah, those people have problems.
Yeah, I mean, but I think they
It's called
think it's
alcoholism.
fun. I think they're having a good
do.
time.
They do.
Like, I
But
don't think
then
they
when
think
you-
of it as a problem.
No, but then when you go home
Mm-hmm.
and you're there alone,
For me, it's
wasted-
the next day.
what?
I don't like how much it can throw your life off.
Oh, like hangovers?
I mean, I'll be home at 3 and the next day I can't function, and I'm dead sober. I can't imagine drinking.
Oh, that's just
and,
called getting old.
No,
Yeah.
that's just, I'm tired all the time.
Yeah, it's called
No,
getting,
if
getting
I was
old.
10 years younger, it'd be the same way.
But like, if you stayed up until 10 years ago,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to function the next day?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. To me, that's what I don't know that I've ever. I think
10
I've
years
only
ago,
been.
I was drinking and doing blow. at
I think
3
I've
in the
only been
morning.
hungover twice in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta get those numbers up.
No.
Yeah, we gotta get
but
'em
I
up.
feel like I've been tired in a way that feels like being hungover.
No.
Yeah.
My culture is not your costume.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just find it
We're having
like,
a real white colored situation here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like,
It's fun when it's fun, but then it gets to a point. That's why, like, with me, it got to a point after, especially leaving Wisconsin, leaving the Midwest, which is
Mhm.
insane drinking culture, going
Yeah.
to Seattle and working in the service industry where it's like everyone parties all the time. So I was like, oh, this is
Mhm.
great. And then it got to a point where I realized I was the only one going that hard.
Mm.
And then this was as kind of the group was getting older, it was like
Mhm.
people were less inclined to rally as
Mhm.
much. And so we'd go out, people would have one
Yeah.
and then be like, all right, I'm going to go home. And then I'm like, all right, fucking whatever. And then you go home and then you're sitting there by yourself and you're like, oh, now this is just kind of sad.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
I
wasted
just I
sitting in this
never
room alone.
went through the party phase because
Yeah.
in college I commuted and then I had like 3 jobs
And the
then
parties
I
would say
never-
locals only, bro.
Well,
right at the door.
No, I mean I never got invited. I've never been to a frat
'Cause there's
party.
locals only.
I just I also was deeply not interested in it. Like even in high school, like sometimes I hear whispers of a party and I just really was like not like I think people would talk about it like, oh, like you like braggy, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, I
yeah.
don't feel like you sound like you had a terrible weekend.
Yeah.
Like I never felt like I was
High
like
school was wild.
it
High
wasn't
school
for
is
me.
like, it really does show you, it's prime example of
Mhm.
how prohibition
Mm-hmm.
just makes
you're
I talk with my hands.
but you're like really chopping
I'm
it.
chopping it. I'm
It's gonna
testing
like
the
get picked up
construction.
on the audio.
But it really is just like fuck off.
Gonna fucking kill you.
Prohibition does make
Yeah.
things just more enticing. Because
how old do you think kids should have their first drink? Like, what's okay? What's socially acceptable?
What kind of drink? Like a beer or like a shot?
Let's do each beer and a shot.
What if I was like shot 16, beer 25? I beer like 16.
Okay.
Because that's how they do it in Europe. I remember literally since because
don't say that's how they do it in
no,
Europe.
seriously, because
no, kids over there are drinking at like 5 years old.
well, no, but I'm saying like the legal drinking age. Because like
some places.
the like family in Europe, I remember
Mhm.
way back when we were kids, or in Germany, they would talk about
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, in Germany when you're like 15, 16, you can
I
have
think that's Germany.
but they're like you can have beer and
Mhm.
wine, and then then when you're 18
Mm-hmm.
or some shit, then you could drive.
See,
that was
when-
like the thing. But so that way
Yeah.
they were like, because then you know how alcohol affects you
Before you're driving.
But then also it's not a big taboo thing. So kids don't have that urge to go nuts.
I
when they
remember
get
being
it.
in high school, like, oh, the brain doesn't fully develop till 28. That's when people can have
That's
their
when
first
I'm
drink.
getting fucked up. Is
Yeah.
that why you've
I
held
really
back?
honestly thought I'd never drink alcohol ever in my life.
and you're drunk right now? Look
and
at you.
I honestly think that I could have done that, and I don't feel like I can't remember the last time I had a drink. You know, I just have no attachment to it.
Yeah.
Because it was never a social thing for me.
Yeah.
You know. And then when I finally did start drinking a little bit, it was like when I was like, in my mid 20s, and it was sort of just like, everyone's kind of over it by then, and they don't really care to get sloshed either. So I kind of avoided
you
the whole
started
thing.
when a lot of people start to get sober.
Yeah. So I was like, whatever.
We'll get you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'll line some things up.
I'm happy to be the lame,
No, I got you.
duck of the group.
You're
but,
gonna hit rock bottom.
Yeah, heroin. That's what we always end up talking about drugs somehow. I don't know.
Talking
how this
about you and
happens.
heroin
I
because
was
you
gonna bring
gotta
something
try
up.
it.
Oh, okay. I had two things. One, I can't remember. The second one, I do. I was gonna ask you, have you seen Beth's special yet?
No,
It's so good.
I believe it.
You have to see it. I mean, she's truly one of the best stand-ups of all
So
time.
funny.
Of all time, of contemporary living stand-up, she is.
Yeah.
Like when she came on and she was like, oh, I kind of feel prouder of my other specials than this one. I was like, dude, like you feeling like this is your worst is better than anybody else's best. Like it's so fucking good. And she's so charismatic, and she's so, it's like a lot of people, their first special is their best because they've been sitting on that material for like 8 years.
Yeah.
And then the sophomore one is like, maybe some leftover stuff. It's like still okay.
Yeah.
Third special is really where people lose me a lot of the time, third and fourth special. And for me, I was like, God, I love you so much. Like it was so good. Like I could listen to her talk for hours.
Yeah.
It was you have to watch it.
She's
I watched
such a
it
good
twice.
writer.
She's such a good writer.
Yeah.
She's absolutely brilliant.
I seriously, that FUBU joke from Girl
it's
Daddy
so
is
good.
when I heard that at the
Top
Crocodile.
10 joke.
Like and I wasn't even trying to like blow smoke. When I heard that
Yeah.
at the Crocodile, I was like, that is one
It's
of
so good.
the best. It's such a deep cut, but it's so fucking
Yeah, she's so good at being specific but relatable. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a lot of what comedy is in general, but like she really makes you feel like you're her best friend, like telling you
Yeah.
a fun story on stage. And God, she's so good. And the way she tags up jokes, like she just like kept, I know she said she forgot a few tags, but I was really like watching the special, like where would she have fit in another joke?
Yeah.
Like
Interesting.
it's so good. It's so fun. The raccoon story she tells about her dad is like so silly. Like,
Okay.
yeah, she's phenomenal.
I'll
It
watch
was really
it.
good.
I'll watch
yeah.
it tonight. Well,
Yeah.
I mean that her talking about she doesn't like it. That just goes to show you
Mhm.
that it never stops. That part never stops.
Yeah.
So, and that's also another thing about me, just like
Mhm.
thinking about comedy and how to move.
Mhm.
It's like with that talking about reels. I mean, I
Mhm.
know I've told you this, but like
Mhm.
being at the fucking Laugh Factory and seeing two very big comics
Mhm.
still complaining about reels,
Mhm.
and they're like, I don't know what to do.
This Laugh Factory?
Yeah.
I went there for the first time recently.
What'd you think?
My friend was
Very
hosting.
small, right?
It's here's my thing. I generally don't like how most Laugh Factories are set up like a church vibe, because the ceilings being really tall is really kind of like
Yeah.
I like a
The Chicago one is
low-
weird. Because it used to be a church.
I think most of them are, or
think
they're
they're-
set up that way.
They're like, here's how we do
It's like
it.
comedy church.
We move in
Yeah.
on closing
Mhm.
churches.
Well, because they have like pews and all of them.
Yeah,
you know.
I wonder if they're like,
mega church vibes.
but the opposite. They're trying to run religion out of whatever
the-
city because
yeah.
they're like, we want that building.
Well, I think it was supposed to be like, oh, like it cheeky, like performing in a church, you know what I mean, like kind of thing. But like my
God ain't gonna
ideal,
like this.
my ideal situation for comedy is like low
Funeral
ceilings,
home.
dark room.
Honestly, funeral home.
You know, it's a more.
Like, hold on a second.
Also, green room on the same floor as the fucking stage. Okay.
Yeah.
Like Laugh Factory in LA here, the green room area,
Upstairs.
which like it is cool that you can look down and see things, but like I just didn't feel very like you have to keep going down, and then it was just
You feel kind of like a evil club owner from a movie.
Sure,
Where you
yeah.
can just look out over the railing at everyone.
Yeah, I'm just I stand like this, planning my demise, hands
Planning your set.
fingers barely touching. You know, yeah.
They laugh at
What's
a
she
dick
gonna
joke.
do
You're
tonight?
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I when did you go?
Oh, this was probably like 2 years ago.
Okay.
A year and a half, 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
But yeah, that was the thing. Seeing them sitting there. One was bigger than the other. Well, it was fucking Dalia, and he was complaining about it, which fuck
I don't think those people get to complain. No offense.
Well, but it's like fuck Dalia, but also like
no, not
you-
even on that
well,
premise. He already had a career.
But so
before
I'm saying-
Reels.
you can't deny even more so now he has a diehard audience. And it's like, if you have those numbers and you're still complaining about Reels, of course, like, so that's the thing of seeing like, oh, okay, everyone has to deal with this shit. So why get so wrapped up in it? Because that's not going to change.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
I go back and forth on it because like I've definitely like complained about it and stuff
Yeah.
because it's like I just fucking hate making them and I just want people to come see live shows. But
Yeah.
it's like on the other token, like how do people hear about you? You know,
Yeah.
but through social media is just such a beast now. But like I feel like you can either complain about it, you can get with it, or you can just choose to opt out. And
Yeah.
like comics love complaining about shit.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
I don't
Like
know
it's
about
like,
that.
oh, I don't want to go to that. My God, I want. It's like, sorry, but that's
Then don't
just
go.
kind of how it fucking is.
Yeah, then
you
go
know?
or don't fucking go.
Like I'm gonna say something that the communists are gonna hate. I love fucking working my ass off. Okay.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I love that I don't think hustle culture is great, but I do love that there is a little bit of that because there have to be some barriers of entry to see who like really wants it. And I feel like yeah, there's you get to decide what you want to do and how you want to get there, right? And if XYZ works for one person, it might not work for you, but if you see that other people are doing things, like maybe pay attention.
Yeah.
And when people that are really big comics complain about stuff, I'm like, you already had all those things, so you don't get to complain about that. Do you know what I mean? Like
But they're still using the same
yeah,
tool.
but I'm like, they have
They're
been
trying to use it the
you've
same
been
way.
majorly successful already on one front. Sorry that you have to change pace versus other people have been trying to like catch up to anything. You know, like
Yeah.
the like comics that don't have that platform, like even booking in clubs is so different now. Getting late night sets is so different now. It's
Yeah.
like things have changed so fast, especially for like our generation of comics, the one before and after, where it's like in 2 years something can be different.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you already have a career.
Yeah, but they still have to. They're still trying to do what you said, sell tickets.
No, and I get that, but it's like you just have to change course a little bit. Like just bring your audience over here versus people who don't even have an audience at all. Do you know what I
What
mean?
do you
Like
mean?
Dalia did great on Reels. That's how he got so fucking big in some
Yeah.
ways. So it's like, what the fuck is he complaining about?
He's complaining about the same shit that everyone complains about. Oh, this one went viral, but then this one didn't, and I don't understand why. So that's where I'm trying to say that part never ends.
To me, it's
And
like
it's a
you're not
no-
going to figure that out. Just repost
No one is
the
ever going
reel.
to figure it out. So that's why I'm saying why is everyone driving themselves so crazy
Yeah.
over how do I appease the algorithm when it's
Mhm.
not, when it's literally set up for you to not ever be able to figure it
Mhm.
out. So then you keep fucking trying and driving
Mhm.
yourself crazy. Whereas my solution, or what I've kind of landed on, is the
Mhm.
semi opt out, where it's like I'm just going to do it when I want to do it, because
Mhm.
when people look at your profile, they're not going to see, oh, they posted 3 times in 1 week, so that's pretty good.
I
They're going to
don't-
look at it and be
yeah.
like, this is mid, this is mid, this is mid, because you were like, oh, I just need to fucking put something out today.
But I think the opposite argument is true too. I think I think a lot of people are like, put it out even if it's not like your favorite clip, just because consistency, that is the one thing we do know about the algorithm is consistency.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I
go
mean?
ahead and do it. If you want to do it, go ahead.
Like,
But
that's
I've heard
not
of people.
the stuff that pisses me off about Reels is not about which one went viral. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's certain jokes that I'm like, oh, that one's not my favorite, but it got a lot of views versus one that is my favorite and doesn't.
Oh, no,
but that's like
not the
that
issue.
could be at a real show too,
That's
right?
not the issue, though.
That's not the thing that pisses me off about Reels. The thing that
Yeah.
pisses me off is that it's a lot of people doing a certain type of crowd work comedy that gets views,
Yeah.
and
Which they stole from Matt Rife.
Matt Rife, God bless you. You know, changing the comedy industry for
I've
good.
heard of multiple people who have
Um,
had audience members say you stole that from Matt Rife when they do crowd work.
Yeah, but the thing that is frustrating to
Which
me
is
about Reels
wild.
is just that I want it to be more, like I want people like. Here's the thing: is so people used to see comedy, but like. People complain about like the people that come to shows now or something like that, which like, of course I have too, right? Like they want crowd work, they want XYZ, but it's like in reality, it's not that much different. It's just more magnified now because even before like people who would come see comedy shows, most of them are not diehard comedy fans.
No.
They have like, they had a free Friday night for date night and they said, let's go to a comedy show.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to behave. They don't know how to act.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was like happening before too. Now it's more magnified, obviously.
But you don't think the numbers are bigger?
The numbers are bigger, but also it's like, I think the people that get the brunt of it are the people posting those dumb reels. Like I heard, you know, Matt Rife was complaining about like people coming to his shows and talking during his shows. And I'm like, well, this is your whole brand.
That's what you get for fucking putting
I
out
don't
crowd work
really-
specials.
Like they're going to just his show. They're going to see Matt Rife. They're not coming to see me. Matt Rife
Yeah.
fans are not coming to see me.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to post my reels and the people that connect with them and the people
Yeah.
that don't. But
That's
I don't
beautiful.
get like I don't get like mean fans. I'm not that big, you know? Like,
No, and that-
let's pray to God I have that problem.
That's
one
where
day.
I'm saying I feel like a lot of people we've gotten in too deep where we've kind of forgotten that social media is a tool
Mm-hmm.
and it's not the career.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where it's like a lot of people are like, oh, I just need to get my followers up and
Mhm.
then I can get booked by clubs. And it's like, well, your jokes fucking suck.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
also you can get a lot of followers.
But that's the thing is really shitty comics have a lot of followers.
Yeah.
Not going to name names, but like,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
but that's where it's like, cool, go ahead and do
Mhm.
that. I know
Mhm.
people who are like, yeah, for a year, I just.
So then
I
what do you
just-
say for the people that are really good comics who are doing all the social media stuff?
do whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it bugs me to see so many people, friends especially,
Mm-hmm.
not complain, but like you can see how it's driving them crazy
Mhm.
because they think
Mhm.
this is what I have to do. If I don't do this, my career, I will have
Mhm.
no career at all.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be whatever. And so they're driving themselves crazy to be like, I have to put something out on this day.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't, I feel like shit. If I put something out and it doesn't go the way I wanted it to go, I feel like shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all this stuff where it's like,
It's the mental, emotional piece.
it's mental,
you
but
mean.
it's like really within the last couple of years, this has
Mhm.
taken off. But like I got on TikTok 2019
Mhm.
and started posting clips and shit then. And it's like, I feel like a lot of the evidence-based thinking has gone
Mhm.
away where it's like, if you look at how everyone is having the same problem,
Mm.
that's what I mean. It's like you don't get
Mm.
to a level where suddenly this stops. Where suddenly
Sure.
you don't have to deal, because that's what I mean about Dalia complaining
think-
about views. It's like
yeah.
it's like, okay, if someone with however many millions of followers
Mm-hmm.
is still getting fucked with, then
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, then that
I
makes
see
then
what
it's
you're saying.
then
Yeah.
as a whole, this is not
Like
set up
Matt
for
Rife
us to
still
win.
has to keep posting reels, even though he
Yes.
has a Netflix special.
Yes.
Is what you mean?
And that's
Mhm.
where it's saying, realizing that it's like,
Mhm.
oh, this isn't set up for us to
Mhm.
win. Clubs, they don't have our best interests at heart. They have their
Mhm.
best interests because they're a business.
Mhm.
So they're going to try to give you as little money as possible. They're going to try to make as
Mhm.
much money as possible off of you.
Yeah.
And that's how it is.
I feel,
And that's
yeah.
the thing. It's like, it's not,
yeah.
you know, not to say, oh, they're all fucking scum, but that's just how a business
Yeah.
works.
I
So
just
it's like,
think
if
that
that's it, then
the
that's
nature
it.
of a creative industry though. Like that's what I was saying of like
but you could
I
do
don't
shit
think
yourself.
No, I think it's always been that way. I think people are like, oh, the olden days a lot of the time. And it's like, I think we forget that like it was never great in comedy.
No, yeah, it always has been this way. But
Do you
it's
know what
also
I
the
mean?
thing where it's like if everyone is being like, wow, this fucking sucks, then it's like, well,
but
then why
I
don't
think
we
that I think it's
change it?
just a new thing that sucks.
Why do we let
It's gonna change.
No, but I'm
something
saying
new will come along.
I'm saying in general, if
Mhm.
people are like, yeah, you just this whole industry kind of fucking blows for a long time, but then even then you don't really get out of the shit. It's just people try to take advantage of you in new ways. It's like, well, then why are we letting that happen?
It's like, not to be a pessimist, but it will always be like that because something new will change, and it's at the end of the day, it's a business, and people there's competing interests at heart.
Well, there's
like,
people who aren't
that's
creative
what I'm trying
who
to
want
say.
to make money
like
off of it.
that back in the day, whatever that setup looked like, it wasn't social media. It was something else. It was Booker gatekeeping. It was something else. Whenever something new comes along, it's going to be that. You can't just collectively say like, let's all stop this, because certain things have worked for people. Like social media has launched a lot of careers.
Yeah,
too.
I'm not arguing that.
I would argue that I would argue that reels have been better for comics than the last probably 10 years before that.
Oh, okay.
You know?
All right. I'm just saying that I'm saying it seems like everyone has gotten very focused on social media, thinking that this is actually what will make your career, when in reality it's a tool. And it can make your career. It's a marketing tool. It's a way to get your shit out there. But it's kind of when something new comes in, just in society as general, everyone goes fucking crazy over it, goes really far to one side.
But
and then that
was your whole
out.
point, though. That if people taking into their own hands, I think that's what social media was for a lot of comics. That's
but
why
I'm
so
saying
many
the
people
evidence.
really. Well, let me finish. That's why so many people made and self-released their own specials, like on YouTube or whatever it is. Like, I don't think it's like, I think we want to blame Instagram, and it's like, it's not necessarily just that either.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that you have to do all of the things, and that's why it's such an exhausting industry. Like, you have to post, you have to go to mics, you have to. If you want to be successful at the end of the day, like, you can choose. I have friends who don't post at all, right? But you got to be doing something. So if it's not social media,
I'm not saying don't do anything.
I'm not saying that either, but I'm saying that I don't think that we can. Like, I feel like when people get like really like down about social media, like I don't think that's great. But I'm also like, okay, just try again next week. Like you never know which reel, like, you know, like don't let it be the thing that like makes. Like if one reel doesn't do well, I had one do so bad when I first posted it, and now it has like 40K likes. You really don't know, and you just kind of are throwing darts at a wall. But my whole point is like, I feel like that's always been every creative industry, is you're throwing darts at a wall to see what works. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Trevor Wallace knew when he started creating sketches. He just enjoyed making sketches, and then some of them took off. Like that's what I mean. Like, I don't think that it's like, oh, just this one thing that everybody's doing is evil. You know,
that wasn't my point.
Okay.
My point was what you were saying originally, where it's like, do what works for you. That's where I'm saying that has been lost on people, where you think, I have to do this schedule of 3 to 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Which for stand-ups, one, is not feasible unless you are literally doing shows every night, which now people are, which is why they're posting bad fucking crowd work, because they're like, I just have to feed this machine.
Because for some people that has worked.
And for a lot of others, it hasn't. If you enjoy it, do it, go ahead. But I'm saying it bugs me seeing people who are like, I hate this. I hate doing this. It drives me crazy. And then it's like, well, then do something else. Then don't do it. You can do something else. That's what I'm trying to say.
If it upsets your mood that much, you shouldn't.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But you better be ready for something else in the industry to make you feel that way.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's where it's been so ingrained that this is how I make my career, is I have to be appeasing the algorithm at all times. And that's the new gatekeeper, where I'm saying you can release your own shit, you can do your own shit, and you don't have to deal with a fucking gatekeeper. That's why today with social media, it's more possible than ever to do your own shit, which is why it's also doesn't, this is why I'm saying it doesn't make sense, because clubs are like, you have to have a fucking following before we book you. If I have a following, why the fuck would I work with you? What are you going to offer me?
But that was my whole point, is that the same way you feel about the algorithm being a gatekeeper, all those other gatekeepers still exist.
Yeah, no, it's all been there,
existed.
but I'm saying now it's just, I feel like it's been
Yeah.
switched where people don't realize it's the same thing. People think, oh, it's the lottery. Where people are like, yeah, it could make my career. But that's what I'm saying. The evidence-based of look how all of these apps or all of these, businesses have changed. When Instagram first came around, remember when you could just get big off a hashtag? That's where I feel like people are still in that mindset of, well, if I just use the right hashtag, if I just post at the right time, it could change my life overnight. And it's like, it could. But is it going? Like, reality-wise, how many people do you know that that's happened to? And how often does it happen? So just being realistic about it and being like, yes, this is a tool. This is a marketing tool. I'm not going to put all my self-worth into how this goes. Sorry, I'm hitting the couch again. I talk with my hands. It's a different point. It's a different part of the couch.
It's on the plush part.
But that's the thing where I'm like, do your career at your pace, whatever feels right for you. Do that, follow your joy, follow your interests, because that will come out in your work, and you will be doing stuff that is better. You will be happier. So you won't be fucking going to mics just like, or going to shows just like, well, I got to get this fucking clip because I got, it's like you're actually enjoying your life. You're enjoying your process.
Yeah.
You're enjoying what you do. So it's only like nothing negative could come out of that unless you literally don't do anything else. But it's like, there's always going to be the marketing. But I think that I heard a quote. Someone says they said I think I wrote it down somewhere. Conflating the company with the culture. Where it's like the company that brought that thing, like the store. A lot of people go to the store just to hang out on the patio, to be seen by hanging out, by the whatever. Yes, the store facilitated that. Yes, they run it. But you can do that without necessarily getting passed to the store, if that makes sense. And if the store wasn't there, it would be somewhere else. So it's like kind of boiling it down. It's like, oh, the actual essence of it is the hang, or with Instagram or whatever. It's a tool for marketing. Whereas we get it in our heads where it's like, I have to win at that thing. I have to get that business's approval. And then it's whatever. It's like,
yeah, I think it's just kind of I think it's the most accessible thing for people. Yeah. I think that's ultimately what it is at the end of the day, because what else can you think of that would be as quick to post on your own time? Do you know what I mean? Like you're like running your own show is a great thing for meeting other comics, but like getting fans, I can't think of anything else, because it's like there's still those clubs where you have to get past, or you have to reach out for avails, or you have to be at a certain level to headline and stuff. Like the people I respect a lot are the people who kind of and they have used social media, and to some extent but they've done other things too, of like they've kind of built up and went from like hosting to featuring to doing shitty road gigs to like, becoming headliners at like bigger clubs. And that just takes a long time. And it's like, you have to be consistent no matter what. I think if you let anything that you're doing affect your mood that much, you just shouldn't do comedy. Yeah. Like I truly think
I do definitely agree. If this is like,
I think if you hate posting reels that much, like you should just like, you don't have to post them at all. That's not what I'm saying. But I think if you're going to post every time and feel shitty about it or complain about it, then you shouldn't be in this industry, because the next thing is going to come along and you're just going to get rejection after rejection. If the smallest rejection of not getting the amount of views that you want is what tips you off, then imagine what it's going to be like if you don't get JFL, or if you don't get X or Y or Z,
If you don't get ecstasy.
So it's like I do appreciate the people who consistently post, because like it takes me forever to make one fucking reel, because I hate it. Like I hate editing, I hate captioning, like all that stuff, right? And it's like, wow, good for you that you're doing that. I've seen some of my friends blow up on social media, right? they don't know why either, to some extent.
Yeah.
And then other times they're like, yeah, well, this is what I've been doing and this has really worked for me. And it's like, you kind of just have to take everything with a grain of salt.
It's different strokes for different folks. If
Yeah.
you're into that, then fucking do it. Like, again, I know someone who was like, last year I decided to get a following. So for a year, I grinded on TikTok and posted 3 times a day or whatever. And he was like, it sucked. It was the worst. But now I have a couple 100,000 and now these clubs will finally book me and stuff. And if that's your thing, that's your thing. Me personally, I'm not going to sacrifice a year of my life for TikTok.
See,
you know,
I kind of would if I had the
that's
like
not me.
If you, I don't know, there's certain things that it's like I really hate about the comedy industry, but it's like I kind of like I like working at the store. Even like I wanted a minimum wage job so bad. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like I get to be there. You know, because it is still like, yeah, some things are really really shitty about our industry, but like I don't want to say it has to be that way because it doesn't necessarily have to, but like it is those barriers of entry for people. Yeah. You know, like who really wants it is gonna like you can't deny that Matt Rife was fucking posting. No, you know what I mean?
I'm not saying it doesn't work.
You know, like something for some people has truly worked. And I think that's what people are trying to replicate. I think that like I said, whatever you're doing, you got to be consistent, right? Like I also hate when people are like, well, I don't want to go to mics. And it's like, no, you don't have to necessarily go to mics. Like if you're that strong of a writer and stuff, but like it is also a little bit about the hang. Like that's the industry that we're in. You have to meet people. I've been booked on more shows hanging out on a patio than sending out emails.
Wild.
Do you know what I mean? Because there's so many comics here. It's so saturated. If you're not top of mind for someone or they just happen to see you while you're there and they're like, oh yeah, she's funny. You're not on anyone's mind. You have to put in those hours. And it's like, sometimes it's like, oh fuck, I spent 3 hours at a mic. And then I'm like, oh yeah, but that person saw me and they booked me on their show next month. You know, like that's just kind of how it is. And it's always been like that. It's just that it's online now. You know? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just more so like, for all of time, comedy, the industry has sucked. And it's, I mean, again, it's going back to the 70s where it's like, why don't we unionize? But it's like, why are we allowing club owners to treat us like shit?
I think that's honestly the bigger problem. I think club pay, like feature pay, hasn't gone up in years. You know what I mean? Like, but that's also a case by case basis, because the reason that clubs have like that much power is because like 2 separate comics could send the same email. If they have different credits, different management, different, you know, if they performed at different clubs, if they're at a like quote unquote different level perceived to be, they will get a different rate no matter what. You know what I mean? Because it's a case by case basis.
Yeah, no, I didn't say right. I said they treat you like shit.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're still trying to steal money. But it's like that's why it's like hard to unionize, because you can't do an across the board thing because every comic is so different. They might want a different style. They might want to, you know, X, Y, Z.
Yeah, but there should be a base level of this is at least. Look at Canada. Canada has rules about comedy where you can't.
What are their rules?
They have some like law about serious where like you have to get a certain amount of money. So in Canada, comedians can
only
like
for the radio thing. What do you mean?
No, there's like other stuff where it's like you can't. I know specifically about the radio thing, but I feel like there's other shit where it's like, yeah, you can't just openly take advantage of people. But that's what I'm saying. It's shit like that where there should be.
I'm sure they still get paid shit.
No, they do, but it's just the type of thing where it's like, not to say clubs need to bow down or anything like that, but it just really bothers me when it's like, do you not see that this is this is a two-way street. This is a give and take, you know? Like, again, not trying to be like, we're the fucking greatest, but it's like, if that club wasn't there, I would just find a room. If I wasn't there, that club would just be a bar. If there were no comics, that's just a bar, you know? So it's like, not to say, oh, you need us or blah, 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 but it's like, you kind of do. And at the same time, we want to go to a club. Comics you can run your own shows. So much easier to not have to do that. And comics love clubs. Some clubs are great. You love going back. You love all that shit. So it's like, it just doesn't, from a business standpoint, I'm like, it just doesn't make sense to try to cheat and screw over. Again, like working at a venue, I worked at fucking Jazz Alley, and it's like, it's so weird for me to see, I guess, coming from Jazz Alley and Comedy on State, club owners, where it's like, why do you treat the people you need like shit and think that's
because there's
good.
So many comics. That's literally what it is. Because if that comic doesn't take that booking, here's the next one waiting in line, begging for the spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Unionize, which will never happen. Yeah. It's just wild. It is the wildest part is that the pay has not changed since.
The feature pay not changing and ever basically is truly insane. Yeah.
Even back in the 70s when they first striked, they were charging $10. The store was charging $10 a ticket in the 70s and giving none of it to comics.
Yeah.
And comics were like, one of their solutions was, how about we raise tickets price to $11? The comics, the $1 goes to the comics, so you get your 10. You're not making any less money.
Yeah.
Nothing changes. And they were like, nah. And again, it's like,
I also think the
predatory.
2 drink minimum is pretty archaic. Like still, you know, like I just feel like I think there's so many things that could
ticket
be
prices
different.
being $30 to $40.
I mean, that's why Don't Tell is so popular.
Yeah.
$15, $20 ticket. You know, sometimes if it's a little bit nicer, a little bit more expensive, or a taping or something, but bring your own beer.
Yeah, we're
sit
going
down,
into a
watch
fucking
the show.
Going into a depression.
It's in your
Businesses can
neighborhood.
flourish by just being cool.
Yeah.
I thought about that the other day. I was like, you know how much money a business could make by just being cool? If Netflix didn't
that's
do
what branding is.
If Netflix didn't do the password thing and was just like, we know people do it, but like fucking like we're gonna lose more money cracking down on these passwords than had we just not said anything at all. It's like, yeah, just be but it's all the executives, they just want fucking money. So they're like, we're gonna fucking and it's like, just be chill.
But at the end of the day, they're a business. That's what
They
you
are a
know.
business.
They were once that gritty little young DVD platform.
Well,
you know, like
yeah,
that's,
and then it.
you
I don't
know?
know. I could fucking go on capitalism all day, where it's just over. We are just cattle. Things are not designed for our best interests anymore. They're designed to get the most. They're designed to get the most money out of us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that's why it's like, again, Netflix. You lost way more money. Like you fucked your. It's I don't know, but anyways, fucking I rule, clubs drool.
Good.
Book
this
me.
Will be
pretty
like,
open
please,
next year.
Send them this video. Be like, I fucking hate
pretty
clubs.
open. No, it really. But that's the thing. It's
we
like
gotta wrap up though, because he's almost here.
But we're gonna bring him into this, and I'm gonna say, what do you think?
No, because Riggins will go off.
I kept thinking Chris Higgins.
No.
From Chicago.
No.
And then I did look up Chris Higgins. I was like, very different person.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What are you gonna do? That's the world we live in. So just have fun, live your life, do what you want to do. Life's short.
Comedy, do it for the love of the game.
Do it for the love of the game. You
gotta love it.
Because if you don't have it, if you don't have love,
dude,
and you do comedy, it's almost like, why are you punishing it?
$3 minutes every week. Congrats.
My favorite thing is when people say they do something in comedy as a business choice. So you really you need 3 more drink tickets that bad? All right. My business choice in comedy is to fucking sell cocaine.
Okay, there you go. We're back, and we're back. So, all right, we'll see you next time.
We didn't even do the intro.
No.